Nothing's a certainty in this game, you know that, Bruff. I mean, you and I have been around too long to think that anything's a certainty. I love Desi as much as anybody else does. I mean, jump racing's wonderful. You see horses like him, people make them heroes. They did the same with Burial Lad, they did the same with Corbière, and I think it's great for racing. All we ever want when these horses run at the end of the day is for them to come back safe and sound, and that's the most important factor. I've got 14 runners today. I've had a few winners out and about, apparently, and somebody said to me, what will win today? And I said, my biggest winner is if they all come back safe and sound. When we're doing this job, we do realise that there's an element of risk in it. And rather like not running Wonder Man on the flat when the ground was very firm, I'm not prepared to take a risk when I think the risk is greater than one would feel reasonable.
But Jenny, they're in here today. Do you think Barnbrook again, or Pegwell Bay, or indeed the others, or Bob Tisdall will beat him?
I'd love to see Desi win. I mean, I'm not going to pick anything to beat him. I think when you see good horses, I don't like to see real top-class horses like Desi running in handicaps and having to give lumps of weight away. They did the same thing to Borough Hill Lad, and he got beaten. And I don't like to see it. I'd sooner see limited handicaps, more limited handicaps for these type of horses or condition races, so that trainers are not forced to run them, giving away 2 stone and more. It's silly. It spoils your horse. It disappoints them. That's the word I'm looking for. And we don't want to see that to happen to Desi or any other good horses that are likely to come along in the future.
Jenny, wise words as ever. Thank you. And winners are plenty.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Jenny Pitman.
Hope she was talking to me as well then. That absolutely super. The cuddly one, Jenny Pitman. She's a gorgeous girl. She's my heroine. A girl who's done it from nothing. Isn't she absolutely tremendous? Now the bookmakers here are looking up at the punters, full of anticipation here as to what's to happen. And the early price, 6-4 on Desert Orchid, they put in with 7-2 against Barnbrook again. On the shoulders, 9-2 Pegwell Bay, 6-1 Yahoo, and in places you can get 100-1 against the other two. 18 favourites in third.
And gave Brendan Powell absolutely, well, no chance, and ended up on the ground himself. But I'm glad to say that since then, touch wood, there's been absolutely no sign of a repeat at that heart. John, do you think he'll get the 3?
I think so. I believe that you can give a horse stamina, you can't give it speed, and there's his stable companion showing that he's got bags of speed, shooting off down to the start there.
But he was clapped coming into the paddock, and he was clapped going down to the start.
And there he is, he's as enthusiastic as ever, really pulling Richard's arms out going down to the start. It's great to see him. It's amazing to think all the racing he's had and hard races that he's had, that he's retained that enthusiasm. And there you are, you can see there's a packed crowd here. They're everywhere, they're lining all the way around the outside of the course. And there you go, there's hardly a space available here. A little bit different to a wintry January on a Tuesday. But there you go.
Now on the right, John, Pegwell Bay. Very interesting to see the rematch between these two, because of course Desert Orchid gave Pegwell Bay £18 and beat him at Sandown last year. But in that race we saw Barnbrook again falling in. Pegwell Bay won that fair and square, and that showed that he's every bit as good as ever. Here they are at Sandown, and Desert Orchid is giving Pegwell Bay £18 in this race. It's the Gainsborough Chase last year, and don't forget, £18 between them, and just look at Desi exerting his superiority from the last.
And the thing about this is, as Simon said, he's actually won quite cosily in the end. Simon only just caught hold of him hands and heels and just shaking him up. I think he always felt that he had the beating of Pegwell Bay there, and he's only just pushed him out there. Won quite nicely there. I think Pegwell Bay has improved a fair bit since then, and certainly was a good performance when he beat Panto Prince here on his only run in that race when Barnbrook fell. He was given an awful lot of weight away at Ascot. Panto Prince only just got touched off there last time, so the form of that race is good. His trainer Tim Forster has had a little bit of a
towards the ditch, and it's Desert Orchid on the inside of Bob Tisdall as they take the ditch. Just a little bit of a short one there. Yahoo are just a fraction slow, but it's Desert Orchid leading from Bob Tisdall in the red jacket in second place, and then Pegwell Bay and Barnbrook again in Yahoo, and Norton's Coin the back marker as they swing right-handed and make their way down the far straight here at Kempton Park, where they have 4 fences to jump, and no one knows that better than Desert Orchid as he levels up towards the third. A plain fence, then an open ditch, and then 2 more plain on this stretch of the track at least, and Desert Orchid leading. Desert Orchid by length to Bob Tisdall in second, and the gap of 2 lengths to Pegwell Bay and Barnbrook again. They come in towards the third, and a mighty leap by Desert Orchid gains lengths in the air. Bob Tisdall's in second, Pegwell Bay third, and Barnbrook again trying this trip for the first time in 4. Then comes Yahoo and Norton's Coin, and this one's a ditch, and Desert Orchid comes to it, takes it safely from Pegwell Bay, making ground on the inside. Wide of these in the red jacket is Bob Tisdall, and Norton's Coin, a little bit of a mistake at the rear of the field. Barnbrook again taking quite a keen hold in 4th, and they take the next, and there's no change there. It's Desert Orchid and Pegwell Bay on the inside as they head towards the 6th, and it's Desert Orchid clear by 3 over Bob Tisdall. Desert Orchid from Bob Tisdall. Barnbrook again a bit untidy, another untidy jump by Norton's Coin at the rear of the field, and so they swing right-handed out of the back straight and turn for home for the first time down towards the 7th. And on this stretch of the track they've got 3 to jump, and they're all plain. And it's Desert Orchid clear by 3 over Bob Tisdall, and then Pegwell Bay and Barnbrook again 3rd and 4th, followed by Yahoo and Norton's Coin, and they've got 2 miles left to race, and it's Desert Orchid out in front where he loves to be from Bob Tisdall, with on the inside Pegwell Bay, and this is the 7th, and the leaders are all over the 7th. Pegwell Bay on the inside of Bob Tisdall and Barnbrook again, and Yahoo and Norton's Coin, and they come in to take the 8th, and it's Desert Orchid comes to it, meets it well from Pegwell Bay, who's coming through in the 2nd place, with Bob Tisdall in 3rd, and Barnbrook again wide of that one. Then comes Yahoo and Norton's Coin, and down towards the 9th, and it's Desert Orchid in the lead, comes to it, takes it well, and Pegwell Bay just hit the top of it, and as Desert Orchid races past the enclosures, he's getting a round of applause, and they've still got a circuit to go, and they head towards the 10th water jump, and it's Desert Orchid in the lead from Bob Tisdall and Barnbrook again, and Pegwell Bay and Norton's Coin and Yahoo, and they head down towards the water jump, and it's Desert Orchid leading from Bob Tisdall and Pegwell Bay and Barnbrook again, and this is the water, this is the 10th, and it's Desi in front. Desert Orchid leading, comes to it, takes it safely from Bob Tisdall and Barnbrook again, and Pegwell Bay travelling well, and they've completed a circuit of the course, and they go to what was their first, and John Oaksey, John Frankham, it's still Desert Orchid out in front.
He looks very happy so far, nothing particularly extravagant. He hasn't stood off outside any wings so far, but his ears are still pricked. Barnbrook again going well behind, and although Pegwell, oh Lord, Desi was made a slight mess of that.
Yeah, he hasn't really been jumping as boldly as I've seen him in the past. He hasn't really been taking Richard into the fences. Normally he attacks his fences. He certainly hasn't been doing that today. And, well, as we're waiting there, let's have a word from the man who knows him better than anyone, Simon Sherwood.
Yeah, John, as you say, he hasn't been attacking his fences as much as I'd like to see him, but on the other hand, I think he's quite happy in himself. I dare say Richard's trying to give him a little bit of a blow, and we'll be thinking about really stepping it up, sort of one of these 2 down his back straight.
And they've got 7 to jump. Bob Tisdall's on the outside of Desert Orchid, but that one has the lead. Desert Orchid comes into it again, not as fluent he has been in the past. Bob Tisdall's on the outside, Barnbrook again is 3rd, Pegwell Bay 4. Now the next one they take is the last ditch, and it's Desert Orchid. Hasn't really set the pace alight, but he jumped that one well. Bob Tisdall in 2nd, Yahoo a bit untidy at the rear of the field. Barnbrook again comes through into 3rd, Pegwell Bay is 4, but Desert Orchid in the lead, and they've got 5 more to jump, and it's Desert Orchid who comes to it by a length. Desert Orchid, a good jump there from Barnbrook again, who's coming up on the outside of Bob Tisdall. Pegwell Bay was a bit untidy, and they've got 4 more to jump in the King George VI chase, and his Desert Orchid comes to it, and he's now starting to jump that one well, and in the grey, the silver shadow is coming clear now of Bob Tisdall in 2nd, and Barnbrook again is 3rd, and then Yahoo is making stealthy progress on the outside of Norton's Coin, and Pegwell Bay is now the back marker, and they've got 3 to jump. And it's Desert Orchid in the lead, but Bob Tisdall in the red jacket is pressing. Barnbrook again is trying to close, but his query is the trip here. Yahoo in the yellow colours on the right, and they're in line for home, and they've got 3 to jump. And it's Desert Orchid who comes down towards this. The third last comes to it. A good jump from Bob Tisdale and Barnbrook again. And Norton's Coin and Yahoo looking one pace now as they come down towards the second last. And Desert Orchid comes to it. And he meets it well. 3 clear of Barnbrook again and Bob Tisdale. And his Bob one to jump as Desert Orchid in this King George VI and ranked steeplechase. One more to jump for Desert Orchid. And the crowd is starting to come alight. But Barnbrook again is challenging in second. The rest of the last. And Desert Orchid takes it from Barnbrook again in second place as they race up towards the line. It's Racing's own Rolls Royce. Desert Orchid, the silver shadow coming well clear of Barnbrook again. And Desert Orchid wins it for a third time. A big performance from Barnbrook again, second, and Yahoo is third. And then came Bob Tisdale in 4 and Pegwell Bay in 5. And just trotting past the post in 6th and last place was Norton's Coin. It wasn't as an electrifying performance as we've seen in the past, but take nothing away from it. This horse, Desert Orchid, an amazing performance, and what a service he's doing racing in the colours of Mr. Richard Burridge, trained at Whitby by David Ellsworth and ridden by Richard Dunwoody, the 6-4 on favourite. Second was number 1, Barnbrook again, and all credit to David Ellsworth, all credit to Mr. Mel Davis, the owner of Barnbrook again, for trying to take Desert Orchid on. He's finished second, ridden by Brendan Powell, and the third horse home was number 6, Yahoo, switched off by jockey Tom Morgan early on, tried to make ground into the home straight, but on this track, on this flat track, this galloping 3 miles, Desert Orchid had all the answers, and the smile on Richard Dunwoody's face says it all.
No.
Well, he let them have their hour of glory. He let them come up to him 4 fences from home, but there was still another gear. And turning for home, he found it. The last 3 leaps were truly memorable, and the crowd got what they'd come for, got what will make their Christmas if they like that sort of thing, and an awful lot of people do. No wonder Richard Dunwood is looking a happy man. Let's hear from his predecessor, the man who started Desert Orchid's brilliant treble in the King George.
Simon, it seemed that you, along with the whole nation, were slightly holding your breath down the back straight when he wasn't really lifting off this horse, but then Richard pressed the button and he did get the response all right.
Yeah, you could just tell by his ears that he didn't seem to be too happy down the back straight, but came to the straight, and then Richard just pressed the turbo, and that was the end of the race really. And he really sort of got down to the meaty bit at the tail end of the race.
The reception he got, I mean, there's almost too much noise to put him off at the last.
Yeah, having ridden it myself, I never really noticed there's a crowd following, but when you're standing here from this angle, it's just amazing watching the way people get so involved with him. He deserves it as well. I just did notice that Richard is yet to get a kiss from Janice Cole, so hopefully there's some better things from Richard yet.
And the whole place will go up as he walks in here in a moment. Here comes the applause.